week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show. Mr. Simon, I laugh every time I watch the video, like really watch the intro video, when it's the Royal Ascot bit. It's Stradivarius winning the Gold Cup, but to make it time out, I had to speed it up at like 3.5 times speed. So you just see if you watch Stradivarius's legs in that opening clip, he's flipping flying, man, faster than he usually does. But yeah, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I gotta say, I get flashbacks when we could actually do this in person together because we have all the clips of us in person. It's been a minute, like a year almost since we've been able to do that. So I'm looking forward to having that back in my life. But how could I not be doing good? We are covering the late pick 4 and Pegasus Day. Like this is amazing. I'm excited. I can't wait to do this.
This is going to be epic. Yeah, so we're doing the big late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 23rd. There's going to be a $750,000 guaranteed pool for both the pick 4 and the pick 5. Fully expected to go over that for the pick 5. Yeah, if you're looking at the pick 6, we were just talking about before we went on air, the Marshuas River kicks that off. Holy shit. If you hit the pick 6, you must have been really good at that Marshuas River, or you went really deep and you pressed your opinions later because Dr. Miranda did that this morning. It's on the Racing Dudes YouTube page. You can check that out. Good luck. Good luck. I hate that race.
Yeah, to be honest, like I think the race that I may be the most excited about, we're not going to talk about, and it probably won't get much talk, but it's the 6th race on the card. I mean, I'd have to pull up my PPs here, but it's a 2-year-old race. If you remember correctly, like these days become epic 2-year-old days. So this was when that wonderful horse Hidden Scroll, who's your 2021 Breeders' Cup Classic winner, when he debuted as well. We got so we have a bunch of horses that are debuting, but Gazelle, have you seen this horse?
That's Jared's one that he drafted without realizing he drafted. Yeah, that
is a very good horse, man. Let me put this: it sold for a lot of money. It's really well bred, so it'll be fun to have that horse go. And then you also have a Godolphin out. That's a Megalo de Oro out of a Ghost Sapper mare. Like there's some really good horses in the 6th race, so I'm excited to see that one go too.
Over under 1.5 claims. Actually, no, I'm gonna do over under 2.5 claims out of the whole day because there are a couple races here you could claim out of.
Over 2.5 claims, but maybe just on one horse. Maybe a shake with 3 claims.
There you go. Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, I didn't mean for us either. You didn't interpret it that way, but I don't expect us to be so crazy. I am so mad, still so mad that we lost that shake. We tried claiming Fenway, who's debuting Saturday at San Diego Park. Oddly enough, the horse that's getting all the hype, the Kentucky Derby Future Wager Pool number 2 is happening right now. There's an unraced horse named Pegasus who was working lights out with Spielberg last summer. They were both the 2 hype horses for Baffert. Got hurt. He's been slowly, steadily coming back. John White claimed him a couple weeks ago. Pegasus, not in the race. Still not going to debut. You can bet him 20-1 Kentucky Derby Future Wager Pool, and you still have no idea when he's going to debut. You taking that action, Mike?
I will take that action if you want. If anyone wants to place it, I'll be happily. As long as you're in the same state as I am, I will take that action. But honestly, like I'm just excited that Largent, who we're going to talk about on this show, is working with our boy Prime Factor because that's definitely a good sign for Prime Factor. So I'll take Prime Factor at 20-1 over any horse that hasn't raced yet. But we'll get to that later. I'm excited to get to this pick 4.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get into it, Mike, what's the best thing that you saw this week?
This card. I mean, this card's epic. Like every year they do a pretty good job. This year they did an incredible job. We talked about this on the preview show. These 2 races don't have a superstar, but holy crap, they are deep races that you can go in a lot of different directions. And that is what I absolutely love. Like I love the fact that almost throughout the entire card, you don't have that like 6-5 horse, the even money horse, right? Knicks Go is going to take a ton of action. We're going to talk about Knicks Go. Knicks Go will probably be the heaviest favorite all day, which is freaking crazy when you think about that because it's a 12-horse field. It's wildly competitive and has what I believe is a ton of speed in it. So, I'm looking forward to getting this card going on Saturday. I can't wait for it. I'm sure some people are really excited about Oaklawn. I'm not a big Oaklawn guy. Kind of going to stick with Gulfstream and Santa Anita. So I'm excited for this Saturday Gulfstream card.
I don't like Oaklawn as far as my own betting dollars go. I do terribly there. I think you might not do that well. There's no turf racing, so it's hard for you to really hit your big bombs there sometimes. But It just sucks because this is exciting. They've got the Smarty Jones Stakes kicking things off on Friday, and I just don't care. I just don't care because it's Pegasus weekend, and I want to care. I really want to care. I'm sure there are plenty of people who do care. You and I just aren't two of them. Sorry. We'll see you next weekend.
I'll throw a little 50-cent pick fours out there, I'll quick cap them. It'll be the 10-minute handicap of all 4 races right before they start on TVGs, just so I got a little action while I wait for the next Gulfstream race. It'll be the DGen pick 4, right? Like where it's like, oh, I need some action. Let's go.
The Detroit Lions, best thing I saw, the Detroit Lions hired their new head coach. It's not that they hired a new head coach. They hired Dan Campbell, who'd been, what was he? You're familiar with Dan Campbell, Mike. He was, I believe, the assistant head coach for the New Orleans Saints and their tight ends coach. Didn't care that much about him. He was infamously on the 0-16 Lions team as a tight end. So not really excited that we're bringing somebody back like that. And then a hat tip to Michael Myers because he sent me a minute-long clip of Dan Campbell's presser. That guy, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is like if you've seen The Big Lebowski. Take the dude, Jeff Bridges' character. It's like he had a kid with Rex Ryan, and that's what produced Dan Campbell. And I was like, that's exactly who this is. And then not 30 seconds later, on my timeline, the Detroit Lions themselves posted the photo.
Yep.
Shit, I wish I had it up. It says Dan Campbell, head coach / the dude. That's his nameplate at the Lions facility. He is the dude. I was like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm in. They're not gonna win a lot, but they're at least gonna be fun. The Lions and the Red Wings, those are my teams. They're not gonna win, but hey, it'll be fun.
Now I know why you like horse racing so much. You gotta put your attention somewhere else besides those teams, man.
Yeah, it was great. So if you get a chance, go watch that. But it was was he a head coach at Miami or was he just a coordinator there? I can't remember.
I think he was a coordinator. I don't think he ever got to the coach.
Yeah, and he was not on anybody else's short list for head coaches. So of course the Lions, they hired him. They didn't want to wait until the Kansas City Chiefs win their second Super Bowl and hire their offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. I can't say his name. That guy.
Unbelievable that Bieniemy and that oh God, I can't remember his name. Bieniemy and the offensive coordinator Dan Gable or Brian Gable, I'm sorry, for the Bills are not going to get a head coaching job. The two best coaches, and all these people are hiring defensive coaches and recycling coaches, and it's like, hey, yo, franchises, these are the two best coaches. Once you have young quarterbacks, maybe hire offensive-minded coaches who are really smart. I got to say though, I do kind of like the Jets hire because he's bringing in a bunch of smart offensive coaches. So he's like, I suck at offensive coaching. I'm going to bring in people who I think he's bringing in Matt LaFleur's younger brother who was under Shanahan, or under McVay. He is being really creative with who he brings in on the offensive side of the ball, which I like. So,
That's good. There it is. Aaron Capozzi. He's the intern head coach for Miami for a hot second there. So not officially he just was the backup to fill in. So
the intern dude.
Yeah, there you go. The intern dude. So, I'm excited about at least the press conferences. Those will be exciting if nothing else. But hey, we're here to talk about horse racing. We're here to talk about Gulfstream Park. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up. I'd rather wait on the Bills O coordinator before I go that far. Yeah. Gable
should have been hired by someone. Buffalo got such a break that no one pulled him out the rug in front of him.
Okay. When is this? Wait, pick 4 at Sam Houston. Is that tonight or tomorrow?
That's tonight. I have not looked at the late races yet.
Okay.
I've gotten through, through the fifth grade.
Sandman, we might not get to it on the show, but if Mike's going to play it, he'll throw something up on Twitter.
Yeah.
So
I'm through 5 races. Unfortunately, Gulfstream kind of took over my life. So I've not gotten to Sam Houston's Thursday, Friday, or Saturday card, which is kind of a bummer. But hopefully I can take a peek at it. Well, the problem is they're already off. I like the 3 in the next race, if that helps. But probably doesn't help much.
All right, we're at inside information. Okay, 3, 2. All right, kicking things off for the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 23rd. Pegasus World Cup Day, all graded stakes pick 4, guaranteed pool of at least $750,000. We're expecting that to go way over. You've got a field of fillies and mares, 4 and up, going 7 furlongs on the main track, 8 of them in total. The grade 2 $200,000 inside information stakes kicking things off. And favoritism is on the number 2 Cinnabuddy at 3-1. And Mike, I'll be honest, if there was one single in this pick 4 sequence that I thought I was going to use, it was going to be Cinnabunny, but I'm not. I have some big concerns here that really revolve around the jockey. I know you used her, but you also went too deep here, so I'll let you take things off.
Yeah, I got 2 tickets. The first one, the 50 center, I'm going too deep. I am going to single in this race, though. I'm going to single the 4 horse. This is my time. I like this horse at the 7 furlong distance more than I like Cinnabunny. And these are the two horses I'm going to use. I think they're both going to be forwardly placed in this spot, but I don't necessarily think either is going to kill the other one. And I'm not overly impressed with the speed that's showing up for a 7 furlong sprint at Gulfstream Park. I feel like that the 2 and the 4 are probably going to be your speed of the speed. I think you'll see some from the 1, but not nearly as much as you'd expect. I think you're going to have a rather tepid pace up front. I think the 2 is probably going to be in the lead, the 4 is sitting right outside in the flank. And the fact that this is my time is coming out of a mile race prior to that, 7 furlongs, a mile before that. You're going to see a little bit more of a fit of a horse than you will the 2 horse. And so I like Kathleen O'Connor specifically at the 7 furlong distance. She does very well there. Zayas has done well on this horse. He's ridden him, 6 of the last 7 times now? And that includes 3 separate wins. Horse loves the racetrack, 3 for 6 over Gulfstream Park. Yes, it's a step up in class. Totally get that. But I look at that race 2 back, where this horse, it was a Gulfstream Park West, but this horse absolutely blew the doors off a field in a stakes race, winning by 11 lengths at 7 furlongs, and then coming back and running in a $62,000 allowance that wasn't as easy as you may think. Like, Movie Moxie is not a bad horse, and never in doubt when you watch the replay. There was never a doubt that This Is My Time was going to lose that race. I don't think this race came up very difficult. That's my other thing. Like, for a grade 2, this to me was kind of one of those lower level grade 2s. I'm not sure that I necessarily think This Is My Time could beat a big time grade 2 field, but this isn't a big time grade 2 field. I mean, when I'm looking at Cinnabunny and Bronx Beauty, like, Pacific Gale kind of passed the time, right? And Sally's Curlin's going to come from the back, but there's not as much pace for her to run into, so I'm not as scared of her. So, I ended up singling This Is My Time, my $5 ticket, and I'm only going to go 2 deep in the 50 center using Cinnabunny and This Is My Time.
Yeah, I went with Cinnabunny as my top pick here, and the reason I said I have questions about her is if you watch the Sugar Swirl Stakes, which I'll just say I'm using the 3 horses coming out of the Sugar Swirl Stakes, so she should have won that race. She should have very much won the Sugar Swirl. We covered it on the Magic Mike show on the following Monday. We talked about it. This horse is all speed. And so they privately purchased her after she was dominating at Parks, sent her to Brad Cox, put Irad on, and you think, oh yeah, even money in the Sugar Swirl, this is a great stepping stone for this race. What could go wrong? And she breaks so poorly, and what does Irad not do? He doesn't put her into the race. And it's the same reason I don't think that you can really single performer in the Fred Hooper Stakes way earlier on the card. For the same reason, that horse in the Cigar Mile broke from the rail, broke a little slow, and Rosario on board just went, we'll just sit here and see what happens, and you lose the race when you have clearly the best horse. That's what happened with Cinnabunny, and I don't have a lot of confidence that if she breaks half a step slow, that Irad's going to get her out of the gate in time. So with that in mind, I did use Cinnabunny. The 3 and the 8 I used as well. And a lot of it was just because that Sugar Swirl Stakes finish was kind of a mess. If you go back and watch it, the replay, I still to this day don't understand how Ladies Island didn't get disqualified, because the last 16th of a mile, she was stumble bunnying from east to west all over the place. And she slowed up a couple of the horses. I know that a Sound Machine, the 8 horse that I'm going to be using, really got hurt. She had to check a couple of times, got bumped because she was between horses. So I think that race was a close finish. And if something like Cinnabunny not being rushed to the front happens again, I think it's going to come from here. But also, if that happens, Mike, you're on a good track here with the 4, because I think that's the only other speed horse in here.
Yeah, and you're pointing to a race, the Sugar Swirl here, that's a 6 furlong race, and that was one of the main reasons I'm not on the 3 or the 8. The 3 is 0 for 5 at 7 furlongs. Well, that was a great 6 furlong race from Bronx Beauty, but at 7 furlongs, I have serious concerns, and I'm going to say the exact same thing about the 8. It's why the 8 was the 4th horse in this race that I considered. But because of the 6 to 7 furlong gap, I'm not that interested in the 8. I think Sound Machine's going to have trouble getting the extra furlong. She's only done it twice. Never really been that impressive doing it. Ran a 55 buyer all the way back in Keeneland in October. And then as a favorite, ran a 78 buyer. The 2 of her worst buyers on the page came at 7 furlongs. So I have serious concerns that either the 3 or the 8 can get the distance. That really is why I like this 4. And I've talked about this a lot on the show. When we're going 7 furlongs, I kind of like a horse that can go a mile, because especially if there's other speed in here, I want that horse that has more stamina, that can be able to handle the longer distances. To me, the 4 horse is that horse in spades, and the 4 horse is improving. And so if we get a big effort here, I think the 4 horses, you're going to get a decent price, is also the best horse of this race at this distance. And I think that's the key. If we're going 6, I'm not sure I'd even use the 4. But because we're going 7, the 4 to me is the top pick.
You convinced me. I dropped the 3, added the 4. The more I looked at this, I was like, man, do I really want to do that? No, I'm going to do it. So, we're going to go 2, 4, 8. I'm playing the Dennis Trusty ticket. That's what we call it in this leg. I know neither one of us want anything to do with Sally's Curlin. For me, it's way too short of a price for what I don't think is going to be a whole heck of a lot of pace in here. And she needs a ton of pace and pace on top of that. Is that the same reason you passed on Sally's Curlin?
Yeah, I mean, to me, Sally's Curlin is one of those like just stereotypical, hey, you want to play a try? Use Sally's Curlin. Hey, you're playing a multi-race bet? Don't use Sally's Curlin. I think she could easily run into third. I think that if you're playing a super, you got to include Sally's Curlin. But I really don't see how how she can win this race, right? I could see her in the top 3, but I can't see how she's going to win it.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting. Chris Potts, the three's the play now.
And this is from someone who bet Sally's Curlin the last 2 times she ran. Because she ran against Bell's the One. I had Bell's the One, but I also used Sally's Curlin. I used Sally's Curlin at the Breeders' Cup. I like this horse when she gets the setup. I just don't love the setup for her today.
We'll move on to the second leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 23rd. Race 10. This is the Grade 3 $150,000 W.L. McKnight Stakes, and we're going 1.5 miles on the turf. And you know what that means, Mike? It's going to be slow up front. You got favoritism on the 5 Sadler's Joy at 3-1, which makes perfect sense because this horse does nothing. I mean, here's my favorite part about Sadler's Joy. If you look at the Timeform U.S. pace ratings, his early pace rating is 12. I'm faster than a 12 on a Timeform U.S. early pace rating. So Sadler's Joy 3-1. No, thank you. I'm going too deep and not using him. What about you?
Yeah, my favorite thing about Sadler's Joy is people keep betting this horse. I mean, come on. Let's just stack it up. I'll admit I got Sadler's Joy in the deep tickets. If you want to go 5 deep here, I think that's a great idea. I don't really want to go 5 deep here. I think you can go 2 deep. I'm going to go 3 deep. I almost I considered singling Doswell here. I think that this is one of those interesting spots where you have the best horse who has a pace advantage, who has a good draw, and I could see Doswell wiring this field. And by the way, it's also the best horse, and you're getting second off the layoff. I like a lot of things about the 1-horse Doswell.
Man, I do too, and I'm with you. I almost singled him as well. I didn't. I ended up using a horse that I can't believe they're offering 10-1. If we get 10-1 on Tide of the Sea, the 7-horse, I'm going to be very shocked. But you're getting Maker, you're getting Tyler Gaffleone. This horse, if you throw out the Fort Lauderdale Stakes when he was just a complete nutcase early, everything on his form says, yeah, he's got a really great shot here. And again, it's Maker in a long turf race. How do you not use, I know you've got 2 horses here, but how do you not at least use Tide of the Sea?
I did. I'm going to use Tide of the Sea, and I'm going to use Doswell in my $5 ticket. I think those are the 2 best horses in here. I think Tide of the Sea has every chance to take a big-time step forward. I like Gaffleone on the turf course. He's ridden this horse very well. I like the fact that Tide of the Sea is going to show some speed. I think these are going to be your first 2 horses turning for home, and I'm not sure anyone's going to pass anyone when they turn for home here if they go too slow. And that's another reason why I'm kind of against Sadler's Joy. There's no pace in here. And there's usually no pace in a 1.5-mile race, but there's really no pace in this 1.5-mile race. So I think it's going to be awfully tough for Sadler's Joy to close from the back. And Dr. Tang here mentions Alvarado. He is on fire at Gulfstream Park right now. I think he's got back-to-back 3-win days. So he's doing absolutely nothing wrong at Gulfstream Park.
They won't even disqualify him. They're giving him the IRAD treatment right now. Did you see that race earlier?
Oh, the 4-horse? Where he
the 6-horse went to his knees. The 4-horse, bam, right into him and goes off and wins. And Gulfstream goes, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Well, they were both Sano horses. They were trained by the same trainer. So I think that's why they didn't do anything. But you get 4 minutes in hockey for roughing for that move. That was how hard he checked that horse to try and get space. And it was brutal. Anyway, I'm going to use a 3rd horse here in the 50-cent ticket. I got to kind of go to Channel Cat. And I don't love Channel Cat, but I think Channel Cat fits really well in this spot. Again, it's a horse that has the ability to be more forwardly placed. I think that he could kind of be sitting in that 3rd, 4th, 5th spot. And you have back races that Channel Cat fits here. He's won twice over the Gulfstream turf. He's going to handle the 1.5 well. So I don't have any questions about what Channel Cat can do. And I'm hoping this horse gets ignored a little bit from the 11 post, which at 1.5 miles at Gulfstream isn't that terrible of a post, because the horse has some speed. There's absolutely no other speed in the race. And you have a little bit of time to run into that first turn. So I'm not so worried that the horse is going to be fanned out that wide from the 11 post. So I'm going to use Channel Cat in the 50-cent ticket. If I was going to go 4 deep here, someone mentioned this horse in the chat. Feldyman 15 mentioned it. Temple is the other one that I would use. I think Temple has a big shot at taking a step forward. It's the other maker. You get Irad Ortiz Jr. on it. There's a lot of things to like here. I've learned in the last year, don't leave maker out in these long races. So if I did go 4 deep here, I would use Temple. If you want to extend my 50-cent ticket and not play the $5 ticket, Temple is one of the ones I would add.
Yeah, won this race with Zulu Alpha, so he knows what he's doing when it comes to Pegasus World Cup turf. It was hard for me to not use 2 makers, but there's just I think this is just such a clear 2-horse race. If you like Channel Cat, I didn't want to add him into my ticket, but I'm not going to knock anybody for using him. Being by English Channel, you know that this distance is right up his alley. So no knocks on that one. Let's move on to the third leg, Mike. The Pegasus World Cup Turf. This is race 11 on the card, leg 3 of the late pick 4 sequence. $1 million purse, mile and 3/16 on the turf. Big old field of 12 horses. I still don't understand how Colonel Liam, the 5 horse, is your 7-2 favorite, but he's on my ticket. But defensively, Mike, I went 6 deep here. I was like, I'm going to split this field in half, and if you had strong opinions in the first 2 legs and you can afford to go all here, I would not knock you for it. Where are you going on top?
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this race with you. I did not look at who you used, so I don't know all of the different horses. I think you have a pretty good idea based on the preview show that we did on the Racing Dudes YouTube channel of who I'm going to go with here. I'm sticking to what I thought I would. I like Largent on top in this spot. I think this is by far your best Pletcher. If you go back and you watch that last race, that Fort Lauderdale was so impressive, what this horse was able to do. We're going right back at the same turf course. I think this horse has a monster shot to win. I would happily bet this horse to win at 9-2. I think you should almost expect a step forward. I mean, this is second off a layoff. This is early in the 5-year-old season. So we're kind of in that late 4-year-old, early 5-year-old area, which we talk about progression all the time. This horse took a couple months to freshen up and went from like restricted stakes and jumped right into the open company graded stakes level. Pletcher knew this horse was loaded. The horse fired, and we're going right back into this race. It tells me everything I need to know about what he expects Largent to be able to do here. Don't love the fact that he's got 3 horses in here, but I think this is one of those rare times where I wouldn't use that against a trainer because it's such a big race. Like the ownership groups are going to want to be in this race, and so he's not going to talk someone out of being in here. So I'm not that worried that he's got 3 and I'm picking one of them specifically to put on top here. But I think Largent is this would be my single if I wanted to get like crazy and play a monster ticket around him in the pick 5. I would single Largent here, but I'm going to go 4 deep in this 50-cent ticket. I'm going to go 2 deep in my $5 ticket because I do like one other horse in here, but I'll flip it over to you. I'm assuming you used Largent if you went 6 deep, right?
If I went 6 deep, I did use Largent. Yeah, so you went 4 deep. I used 3 out of your 4, and you can probably guess which one I didn't use. Largent, that Fort Lauderdale is great. You talked about it, but we also just talked about how much we love Doswell. How do we love Doswell and not love Largent in this spot? And the Fort Lauderdale Stakes, listen back to, I want to give a tip of the cap to Nick Sievers because he brought this up on Twitter the other day, remembering that we had discussed all of these horses and their prep races in a previous Magic Mike Show episode. Largent was great. Largent screwed both of us. And we both sat here going, this horse has never finished worse than second in 9 starts, and Pletcher's steadily progressed him through the ranks. How the bleep did we not have this horse at 17-1 in that race? We're not making the same mistake. But with love Doswell, love Largent. How do you not love the 2 breaking the rules? And you're getting 10-1 on a horse that was a nose behind Doswell. And again, you keep hearing how much we love those other horses. So you're getting John Velasquez up. Shug McGay, he's got 2. I'm going to use both of them in here. You are as well. The other one being North Dakota, the 4 horse, the younger half brother of Warfront, who we tend to like a little bit on the show. But with breaking the rules, that Fort Lauderdale race, he looked so good, and he just had so many traffic troubles in the stretch that I don't think was really the problem of the jockey. It was just bad racing luck for him. I think he's got an opportunity to take a tremendous step forward off of that, don't you?
Yeah, I would also argue, and so I'm going to use 2 horses in my $5 ticket. It's going to be breaking the rules in Largent. Honestly, I would argue that breaking the rules is better on a firm turf, and we saw the last 2 over a yielding and good turf. Imagine if that's his B effort. Because you go back to Saratoga and Belmont, what this horse was doing over firm ground, running monster buyers, 97, 101. I believe the horse should have progressed since then and has since regressed. And I think a lot of that is to do with the good and the good and the yielding turf he faced. If you go back and you look at his end of his Saratoga season, he ran 2 efforts. His first 2 over turf were his 2 over the lower buyers that he had, and those were both over good turf. So I think the firm going is actually going to play well to breaking the rules. And yeah, I'm not going to hold it against the jockey, but I like John Velasquez if I know the horse needs to get some room and find a trip, especially breaking from that 2 post, should be able to save a bunch of ground. I think breaking the rules at 10-1 is extremely dangerous in this spot.
I used the two top pletchers. I didn't use Social Paranoia, but I did use Colonel Liam. I'm not in love with him, and a lot of that, Mike, is that 7-2 morning line price. He might get beat. Announcer Pete knows what he's talking about when it comes to horses and betting at Gulfstream Park, at least better than I do, but I really hate that price on him. But this is a horse in the Saratoga Derby. We covered it on the Magic Mike Show preview a long time ago, and I love the horse in there, and he got a really, really shit trip. Didn't get the win. Takes some time off. Goes to the Tropical Park Derby, gets the nice, easy win. It looks like it's going to set him up for this spot, and you've got to like that Irad's going to keep riding him. This is a big test for him to really – this is his first real test against older horses. His first 3 starts came against older horses, but we're not going to count those. From a stakes perspective, this is his first big test, and so that's why I'm very hesitant about him. What about you?
Yeah, I didn't use this horse in either ticket simply because he hasn't beat anyone. When Don Juan Kitten is the horse that you're like hanging your hat on, I've got some problems. And the fact that, in that Saratoga Derby, he faced horses like Gufo and No Word and others, and here have faced those horses and done as well or better. To me, especially if it's the favorite, I'll pass. I'm going to look for horses that I like, at prices that I like outside of relying on a horse to take, a pretty big step forward. I mean, we're talking like 10% gain almost to be able to compete with these. I'm not so sure that Colonel Liam's going to be able to do that. And I would rather take horses that I believe are a little more proven at bigger prices than assuming that this horse is going to take a monster step forward.
We didn't really touch on North Dakota too much. For me, I'm not in love with him. This is a fun horse. I think that the distance is going to be no issue for him whatsoever. But I almost think I would be more excited about him if he was in the McKnight rather than in the Pegasus World Cup. Longer race, less pace in there. But we both did use him. Do you want to touch on North Dakota real quick?
This horse has done nothing wrong, and that's the main reason why I like using this horse. It's a pretty lightly raced 5-year-old. I mean, this is only going to be its 13th start. It's won 4 of the first 12 that it's raced in, hit the board 7 of those 12 times, and the horse has consistently improved since the start of 2020. I mean, if you look at the horse's buyers, it goes from 80 to 77, but then goes 82, 85, 86, 97, 101. It just keeps taking a step forward when you expect that progression. And I like the fact that I like breaking the rules so much, and that Shug has that horse in here, and then Shug has this horse in here, and that Ortiz picked up the mount. That tells me everything I need to know. I think this horse could take another step forward. And to be honest, if the horse just is flat, I think this horse is there at the wire. And so because of that, getting 10-1 again, I like this is the value aspect of using the 4 over using the 5 in my sense. Like you have a horse that just needs to do exactly what it did last time, and you get 10-1 versus a horse that has to improve 10% to get to that horse. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense to me. So I like North Dakota quite a bit in this spot as well.
He's good. So I'll kick it to you. So we're each using the last horses that we're using are all coming from California, and they're all different from each other. I'll let you talk about your California horse because you love to shit on Californians when we, rightfully so, like to shit on us when we come in. So go ahead.
Do I have to? I'm a little embarrassed I'm using this horse. I'm not going to lie. Like I don't even know if I can make the case. I kind of want Aaron to leave the background right now because I'm about to say I'm going to use Storm the Court in this spot. And it's just making the 50-cent ticket. Yeah, no, you don't want to hear my Storm the Court argument, Aaron. You don't want to be, it's just not good. Look, there's no speed in this race. And Julian Leparoux can wire a field on the turf. I've seen it happen before at a monster number. Storm the Court is going to be able to get the distance. Storm the Court is going to get a slow pace. Storm the Court is going to be loose on the lead. Put all that together, I don't really want to get knocked out by Storm the Court at what is going to end up being 15 to 20-1 in this spot with a horse that is going to make the front. And so, yeah, I know, but trust me, my inside
I'm right there with you, Aaron.
That same way. But I'm not going to leave this horse off. I'd not on a 50-cent ticket that cost me $48. I don't want Storm the Court to be the reason I don't cash for $3,000. So I completely agree with how everyone feels about this. But Storm the Court is a low lead, and I have a feeling that Storm the Court gets loose. Maybe he gets caught. That's fine. But if Storm the Court is loose around the final turn, you're all going to be the ones doing the face plant, not me. So I'm going to go ahead and use the 3 Storm the Court as well.
This must be what it's like for you and Aaron when I'm sitting here making a statement and the whole chat rips me apart. I'm having a hard time keeping a straight face because everyone's just – and here's the final nail in the coffin. Vinny Bond says he likes him too. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Listen, you said something interesting about Storm the Court, and he's never tried this distance on turf, so we don't really know. He's gone a mile and an eighth, and it was a Hollywood Derby, which didn't set up very well for him either, but he also wasn't on the front end. I'm not convinced he can handle it because Court Vision, his sire, was great in the turf mile, but we're talking a mile and a 3/16 here. So just me personally, I don't think that this is his spot. If this was a mile race, I think that he would be a legitimate shot here. But that's just me, and we don't really know for sure until we get out there. But the Tomlinson rating's 3/16, so it's not terrible.
Yeah, real quick, just to combat the distance thing. He actually stayed on pretty well in the Kentucky Derby, and that's why I actually think he can get this distance. He went 1.25 miles in the Derby and stayed on fairly well, only finished 9 lengths behind Authentic after pressing that pace, which we all thought was pretty hot. And now he's on a surface which holds speed better, and I think is his better surface. So when you take all of that into account, I think Storm the Court can get the distance. I'm not sure he can win, but he is scary enough at a price that I'm going to use him here on the 50-cent ticket.
Man, y'all in the chat are being so mean. I feel like I'm not even going to say anything against Storm the Court. Everybody in the chat's being worse than I would. I'll just leave it. You have an excellent point about the speed, and yes, Julian Leparoux specifically is going to be very scary in this spot. For me,
when they go 52 on the front end, you're all going to be weeping.
When they go 52 on the front end, I'm going to be throwing things because I'm going to know exactly what's going to happen halfway through the race. Yeah. I went with the other 2 California horses. I'll start with Another Twist of Fate. I'm surprised 5-1, and I'm also more surprised that some people think he might end up being 10-1 or above 10-1 on the morning line. I think it's going to be the other way because if you look at the form, I talked to Aaron about this, he was doing well with Blaine Wright, and then he goes to Seabiscuit, and Joel Rosario rode him there. And afterwards, Rosario got off and told Peter Miller, put blinkers on that horse, it'll help. Miller's as thick-headed as they come in this industry, and Miller listened to Rosario. And he put up the blinkers on him, and you see what happened to San Gabriel. He posts a 103 buyer running on just off of the early pace, running without Lasix, and that to me is a big key why I have to use him. And I think anybody has to put him somewhere on the ticket because he is the only horse in this field who is proven winning at a high level with a triple-digit buyer without Lasix on the turf. To me, that this signals you have to at least use him. Now, do I want to see Peter Miller win the Pegasus World Cup turf? Hell no. But I also don't want to lose the money even more so. So I have to use Another Twist of Fate. You didn't use him, so talk to me about why.
Well, Balba Jackie didn't show up, and that's who ran second in that race. So right there is enough.
Balba Jackie.
This is like, if I'm knocking Colonel Liam for who he's beaten, Another Twist of Fate hasn't beaten anything. Like nothing. So, yeah, that's great. You ran a 103 buyer in a random California stakes race that didn't have that good of horses in it on the turf, and now you're facing the best East Coast horses. Yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks. I'll pass. You can have your 5-1. I wouldn't bet this horse at 15-1. Like, I have absolutely no interest in Another Twist of Fate or the horse you're about to use from the California either. Like, to me, no interest at all.
Jared's a big Storm the Court fan for that very reason, Michael Myers. If Storm the Court wins, he gets to see Brittany on the TV. The last one I'm going to use, and I'm going to give a big tip of the cap to our buddy John Lee's a regular listener. Say the word. He had some not nice things to say about you for poo-pooing California horses, but you hurt John and I personally when you do that. That's why. But say the word. He told me, he said, listen, really, go back and watch what he did in his last race. That was a Hollywood Turf Cup. I call it the Hollywood Derby before. The Hollywood Turf Cup, going 1.5 miles, and your argument against Another Twist of Fate, he beat a bunch of California horses. Okay, great. Who was Say the Word facing? Oh, Arklow.
Yeah.
Red King coming out of the Breeders' Cup. Really good horses. And Flavien Prat, first time riding him, first time Phil D'Amato's had him in the barn. I think he just timed that ride wrong. If you go back and watch, that horse, if you give him an extra, half of a 16th of a mile, he wins that race or comes within a nose because he was trucking, but that short Del Mar stretch really screwed him up, and I think Pratt just mistimed it. If he brings that run again, I don't think it matters about the pace because there wasn't a whole lot of pace in that race. He's going to come flying, and so I've got to use him here.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a California horse, though. He's an East Coast horse. Let's be honest.
He
came from Woodbine, ran at Saratoga, was at Fairgrounds before that, was at Belmont. You're playing an East Coast horse. You're not playing next shares here. I thought you were using next shares, okay?
Oh, God, no.
That's the other California horse. And oh, God, next year's only was 2 lengths behind Another Twist of Fate last time out.
That wasn't, but that don't look at the number. Watch how we did it. That wasn't easy. Watch that replay. He could have won by 10.
Yeah. He could have won by 10. Yeah. Over Bob and Jackie. That's great. No, Say the Word I could see using. I'm fine with using Say the Word because Say the Word has some backclass, had some good buyers. I mean, was in the lure last year against Lucullen and a couple other horses over at Saratoga. Was running in some good races up at Woodbine. That Del Mar race, the horse did run well. You're getting Pratt. He's coming out to specifically ride this horse. I can get behind you using Say the Word. I was just, if you would use next shares, then you could no longer shit on my Storm the Court pick.
Well, I don't have to because Aaron's still trying to do it. He's still trying to drum it up. This will be the last thing we do with this, Aaron. We got to move on to the actual Pegasus. He says, Samo makes a case for Storm the Court, who hasn't won a race in, 10 years? Pretty close. Yet another Twist of Fate has no chance, and he wants no part of him. He also could get out to lead just like Storm the Court. So,
Joel Vicario. So, no, he can't get the lead.
Right. Yeah. We just talked about it with Performer, right? I can't trust that he's going to put him on the lead in that spot like he's supposed to do. So we'll see what happens.
100% Julian Leparoux will send. He will get the lead. He may not get an easy lead. That I may be wrong about the easy lead part, but he will end up in the lead.
And boy, so we talked about me throwing things if you see 52. If Julian doesn't send him and he's dawdling in the middle of the pack, I think Mike's going to be throwing things too. All right, let's move on to the fourth and final, the headlining event. We haven't talked about it yet. The Pegasus World Cup Grade 1 $3 million purse. 12 horses going a mile and an eighth on the dirt at Gulfstream Park. Favoritism, no surprise here. The number 4, Knicks Go at 5-2. Knicks Go. Code of Honor, the 10 horse, is your 9-2 second choice. Tax, the 7 horse, is 5-1. I'm actually excited about that price. Before we get into it, Mike, I went back once more and listened to that the replay after the Harlan's Holiday when you and I were talking about the race. We both were saying that we were excited to bet against Tax. I said I'm excited because of your points and because he didn't run well in this race last year without Lasix. You were saying you thought he didn't beat anything in that race compared to what he's facing here, and that there was an issue with the price in this spot. I want to preface this by saying we thought that other horses were still going to be in training when this race came off. So if Mike ends up using Tax, I already can't remember if he used him, but if Mike ends up using Tax, go easy on it because we thought that Tiz the Law and a bunch of other horses were showing up, not Kiss Today Goodbye and Coastal Defense and yeah. So anyways, go with your first horse.
I was legit bummed that Tiz the Magician was not in the field when I saw the rest of his field. Because maybe we get a piece with Tiz, right? It wasn't it's not that long of a chance. I can't believe I'm about to say this. These two races are just blowing my mind. The fact I just used Storm the Court, and I'm now going to pick Sleepy Eyes Todd on top. But look, this horse has shown the ability to rate in the last 2. The trainer specifically set this horse up to go 7 furlongs so that he wouldn't make the lead. And the horse responded really, really well. Did he beat that much? No. That's okay. I mean, Frenzy Fire, actually beating Frenzy Fire at 7 furlongs is saying something. He wasn't, that's not a bad horse to beat. He has enough speed to stay close. But he doesn't need the lead. He's proven that the last 2 starts. I think there's actually a ton of speed drawn on here. That's one of the reasons I liked the next horse I'm going to use, which I also can't believe I'm using. And I like the price on Sleepy Eye Todd at 8-1. I mean, I think that's the best value on this board in my mind. You have a horse that's proven at the distance, that has no problem being a part of the early pace, but can close if needed to. You have a nice post from the 1 hole in a really, really quick turn. This is a fast turn in. So Sleepy Eyes Todd with some tactical speed is going to get the trip. I'm not worried about that at all. And you have a horse who likes Gulfstream. I mean, this last race was huge for him over that 7 furlongs on this Gulfstream track. So everything kind of lines up for Sleepy Eyes Todd to run a really big race. I can't believe I'm saying that because I hated Sleepy Eyes Todd all of last year. But here I am, using Sleepy Eyes Todd. And you know what? The other horse I'm going to use in my $5 ticket is a horse I have not used since Gulfstream Park, January of 2018. Code of Honor. The 10 post is not great for Code of Honor. Totally understand that. The horse needs to be much the best to be able to win from the 10 post. But I just talked about how much speed's in here. He's going to be able to tuck right in back, and he's going to get a lot of speed to run into. If he can get rolling down that backstretch, Code of Honor is really dangerous in this spot. I think he might be the best horse in the race. I think the post sucks, but the setup is great. And so because of that, the $5 ticket, I'm going to go 2 deep, and I'm going to use the 1 and the 10.
Nick, because I told Nick I was like, Nick sent me his ticket beforehand and said that he was what he was gonna play, and I said, here, I'll save you $18. Take Code of Honor off of your pick 4 ticket. I don't trust that he's gonna be able to. I just can't trust this horse. I haven't been able to trust this horse since he looked like a little rat in the Breeders' Cup paddock to Santa Anita that looked like he needed about a 2-year break. Sleepy Eyes Todd is a horse that I don't think I'll ever get on the right side of. This horse, because here's part of the problem I have is this race is a mile and an eighth, like a true mile and an eighth. And his best mile and an eighth race was the Charlestown Classic around a bull ring. So he's doing a lot more cornering. That's when you're on the lead. That tends to do really well for you. So I can't look at that race and say, oh, he handled the distance, so he's going to be fine here. He did okay in the Oklahoma Derby. He was second to Owendale in that spot. But an Owendale in form now or even then in this race, I don't want to touch. So Sleepy Eyes Todd for me is a pass. But that, especially that rail draw, is really what made me think, maybe do I add him in here? If there are a bunch of scratches, I probably will. That real draw is really enticing for me, but I just can't use him because remember when he showed up in the Awesome again, and you were like, I'm using him and Maximum Security, and I about fell out of my chair when you said you're using Sleepy Eyes Todd. So that's where I still stand with Sleepy Eyes Todd.
I don't blame you. But this field came up like. How soft? I mean, that's the thing. It's like we talked about how we weren't going to use tax, but that was when Tiz the Law was supposed to be here, and we thought Baffert would be sending someone. And like all of a sudden, when Nick Sko shows up as your 5-2 favorite, and we'll talk about Nick Sko in a second. I'm surprised we've gotten this far into this race without talking to him. But when Nick Sko shows up as your 5-2 favorite, and like none of us really liked him in the Breeders' Cup Mile, but because he was lone speed, we all picked him on top because it was kind of the setup. No, I used him. I picked him on top. But I didn't. Like when that came out, I was like, "Wow, am I really going to use Nick Sko here? Like, is that really the horse I end up with in the Breeders' Cup race?" And it was. And you're sitting here and like, this is not the same setup for Nick Sko, but he probably is the deserving favorite. Like once you look through the PPs, he probably should be the favorite in this race. That's the crazy part about this. Is this just the field did not come up that tough. It came up as a great betting race. I don't want to knock the betting side of this at all, which I absolutely love, but it's just not that like. It doesn't have your gun runner. It doesn't have your City of Light. It doesn't have that superstar in here. It has legit 8 horses that could win the race.
Yeah, that makes for great. Is my mic better? I unplugged it and plugged it back in. Is it better?
It's still cracking a little bit. It's better than it was.
Okay. No, it was doing that this morning, and I didn't realize it until it's too late. Okay, so I'll try and keep my speaking brief, which is probably what everybody wants anyways. When the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile was over, the whole plan for Korea Racing Authority, who owns K-Nick Scopes, one time I'm going to freaking say that, they said the whole plan was they were going to retire him. They wanted American dirt horses to be sires, stallions in Korea. And then after the race, in the interviews, like on TV, they're like, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll stick around. And I was like, they're going Pegasus. They have to be thinking Pegasus. And so since that day, this is the horse I was ready to play in the Pegasus. So I don't love the price. I don't love a lot of things about this horse's recent form in the last year. But I'm putting him on top because I think this is the best horse in the race, and if it wasn't for tax, I might actually single up Nick Sko. That said, I went 3 deep here. We can talk about, well, you didn't use him, so I'll talk about tax. That last race, the Harlan's Holiday, you watch that race and tell me that he's not going to be ready in his second start of the form cycle to fire a big one here. Danny Gargan, Luis Saez, it's basically a flip of the coin when they're together. I'm actually curious why you aren't going to use him in this spot.
His big wins at a mile and an eighth, mile 16th have all been on the lead. Generally when it's unpressed. I mean, he won was it the Travers or was it the
Jim Dandy?
The Jim Dandy he won when he was sitting right behind the lead. He was sitting in second and kind of Tassis went to his knee that day. It was a really nice setup for tax. And then, in the last race, he was able to go wire to wire against a field where like, look, I like the Last Jedi. I'm using the Last Jedi as a must-use horse, and I think it's the 4th race on the card.
Yep.
But that's a mile. So he was facing a weaker field for what they want to do. All of those horses coming out of that mile and 16th race are going into a mile race. He is going to a mile and an 8th race. So he got the lead. He had really no one that could pressure him because A, there was speed favoring, B, he was loose on the lead, and C, he was the only horse who really wanted that full mile and a 16th. Put all that together, I think that last race is a lot less impressive than what it looks like. And I think that Tax and I think Nick Sko hook up. I think those two are both going to send. I think you have a lot of speed in here. I mean, when you go through here and you look at the Tomlinson ratings and what some of these horses want to do, they want to go. And then you look at like Independence Hall, who I have absolutely no interest in playing. Not going to make that argument. Don't worry. I think he's a pace presence, though, right? I mean, this horse is coming out of sprints, and he's got a 110 time form rating from an early perspective. He's going to be sent too. He's going to be forwardly placed. I don't see how you don't have a hot pace up front, and I think that really hurts Tax. I think that is definitely a big time negative for Nick Sko, and it kind of makes me like some of these horses. I think can sit or come from off the pace.
The last one that I'll use, I almost wanted to go too deep, and the more I thought about this, I was like, what happens if Harper's first ride just brings, like, we're worried about other trainers and their juice. We're overlooking Harper's First Ride at 10-1 here. 10-1 price is what let me with him. If you look at this horse's form, yeah, he was mostly at Laurel where he was dominating horses because there isn't a whole lot there. But if you look at the Pimlico Special, he was facing better horses. He was facing Owendale. Cordmaker, I'm not going to list as a horse that was, yay, he beat him because, yeah, it's a Laurel horse. But the one time he had a little bit of a misstep, the Maryland Millions Classic, gave him a little bit of time off, bring him back for 2 more Laurel races, and he looks again like the same Harper's First Ride. And Claudio Gonzalez is a very high percentage trainer. He can take horses and do magical things with them sometimes, and he's bringing his jockey down for this ride. So it's a long shot, but just in case this thing doesn't chalk out, I really think this is the best double-digit horse that's available for me to play.
Look, I'm not going to knock you for it. I think Harper's First Ride and Last Judgment are the 2 unknowns. And we often talk about the known versus unknown. Both of those horses could show up and run big races, and I wouldn't be completely shocked that they win. I would use both of those horses over a horse like Tax, for instance, in my mind, because you're getting better value with horses that I think I know less about, so I can't fully estimate what type of race they're going to run, how they're going to run it, or how they're going to perform. From a price perspective, though, if you could scroll up a little for me, I don't have the morning lines.
Yep.
From a price perspective, I'm going to go to the 5 Jesus or Jesus's team here, and I'm going to use that 8-1, and I'm going to put that horse on the 50-cent ticket as well. I think this is your improving horse. We're early in the 4-year-old season, and look, I kind of poo-pooed all over this horse in the Breeders' Cup Mile. I poo-pooed all over this horse on Preakness Day. This horse ran really well on both of those days. The horse was able to come from off the pace well on both of those days. Irad picks up the mount. I could see this horse taking a big step forward. And to be honest, Nick's Go is running a 107, 108 from a buyer perspective. Jesus' team ran a 102 in that Breeders' Cup race. I think that this horse is a use at 5-1. And again, it's a horse who I think is going to get the setup. This horse is going to be rolling, but has a better draw and a better and more tactical speed than Code of Honor. So if I like Code of Honor, which I do, and because of the setup, I kind of feel like you have to like this horse because of the setup as well. So I'm going to include the 5 horse on my 50-cent ticket, and then I'm going to kind of disappoint myself here, and I'm going to put Nick's Go on the 50-cent ticket. Jared talked about this. I often will leave this type of horse out. Look, something changed when this horse went to the Cox Barn. We'll just put it that way, okay? Something changed. And the light went on. This horse is back-to-back-to-back 100-plus buyers. It's possible this horse just gets loose and is able to get the mile in the 8th. In my heart of hearts, I don't think the horse can. I think there's a ton of pace pressure. I think there's a lot of reasons to dislike Nick's Go here. But in the 50-cent ticket, I'm going to put Nick's Go on top because when this horse does get loose, he's dangerous. So I'm going to include him in the 50-cent ticket. I'm not going to include him in the $5 ticket. I probably won't have him in my pick 5. But I'm going to, since my 50-cent ticket, I think it's like $48, I decided to throw Nick's Go in there.
I was just realizing 2 of the 3 horses I'm using, Nick's Go and Harper's First Ride, they're both 5-year-olds by Painter, who isn't a stallion that you think of yeah, Painter. But I was looking at his stats. First time stats, 9%, 7%, 8%. Really bad with younger horses. But then he gets to 17% when they get older. So that's a good thing to remember moving forward. And I think part of that, Mike, is the reason you see him do so well as a stallion as they get older is because they're not winning when they're young, and therefore nobody really wants to give them those stupid, ridiculous stallion fees when they're or offers when they're early in their career. So no, nobody wants them until they get older. That works out. So just a little something that I noticed about Painter there.
I like JD's comment here because it was Nick's Stop or K-Nick's Stop for a while. This horse, when it was the Jockey Gold Cup, what other races were there? It was the Jockey Gold Cup and the Sam F. Davis. This horse wasn't able to get the lead and quit bad at 1:16. I'm a little afraid if he doesn't get the lead, which I think he will get the lead, but I think he'll be pressured. You could see him just drop anchor, throw up the folding lawn chair, and just sit down on the turn. He'll be so tired. So I think Nick's Go is a beatable 5-2. It's why I like this sequence. The last race, Liam's Map, or Liam's whatever, is a bad favorite. This race, I think Nick's Go is a bad favorite. I would like to beat them both. That's why I'm not using either in the $5 ticket.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Mike and I go ahead and give out our tickets one last time if you're watching live or the replay on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook. Thanks for joining us. Look, right down below, Mike's telling you where to look. We give out our tickets. I updated mine because if you caught at the beginning, Mike convinced me to switch a horse in the first leg. So for my 50-second ticket, I'm going 2-4-8 with 1-7, with 2-4, 5-6, 8-11, with 4-7-8. That is a $54 ticket. Mr. Summich.
I'm going to play 2 tickets. So I'm going to start out with a 50-cent ticket here. I'm going to go 2-4 with 1-7-11 with 2-3-4-6 with 1-4-5-10. That'll cost you $48.50. And then I'll include a $2 ticket. I was saying 5 because I'll probably bet it for 5, but I'm going to give it out for 2. 4 with 1-7 with 2-6 with 1-10. That'll cost you $16 for a total investment of $64.
Very nice. Make sure you check out racenews.com. We have Aaron's full previews for both the Pegasus and the Pegasus Turf are there with his full picks as well. In each of those, I also put the video that Dr. Miranda and I did this morning where she previews the Marshes River. Good effing luck if you're trying to play that race. And then, of course, the Inside Track to the Pegasus World Cup Wagering Guide should be available later this evening. It's available for pre-sale now. It should come out this evening, I should say. It's going to have top 4 picks from myself, Mr. Samich, Aaron, Jared, Saratoga Slim, and Vinny Blonde. We already saw what a couple of his picks are going to be, so you know who to fade. Ricky's Rockets will be there as well. Check out the Rocket Hour tomorrow. He's going to cover Gulfstream Park Friday's show. I'm guessing with Aaron. I haven't heard, but Blinkers off. I'm sure those guys will be up later. Aaron had to take off, so maybe he's got to go get put on his makeup and do his hair for the show. So make sure you check out the Blinkers off guys. They'll be covering all the stakes races as well. Mike, we got a request here. You got any interest in talking about the weekend's games?
I would love to. I was going to pull that comment up too. Like, this is great. Good call, Magic. Yeah, I think it's a really fun weekend to bet. I like Tampa. Plus the points, especially if you like. I like the 3.5 quite a bit there. I'm probably going to sprinkle a little on Tampa money line as well, and I think the under is actually the play in Tampa, which is it's kind of odd, but you're going to get some win there, and I think it's going to be a little bit more of a cold weather game, and I have a feeling that Leonard Fournette is going to run the ball quite a few times. So I kind of like the under in the Tampa game as well as Tampa. Tampa's currently plus 3.5 in that spot. The Buffalo KC game I think is really interesting. Mahomes is going to play. The bigger concern is his toe, not his head, which will limit his running, specifically on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 5. You saw him run on 3rd and 1. That's actually how he got hurt. Running in the red zone for Mahomes is a big part of his game. We've seen that in the playoffs multiple times. I think that's the biggest concern for me. It's actually not the concussion / choked out / whatever the heck is going on there. I think it's a simple answer. Like, I think 3 is the right line. If you like Buffalo, wait. You're going to get 3.5 by Sunday. If you like KC, take it now at 3. Me personally, I'm going to wait and play Buffalo at 3.5 most likely. I think that extra half point is really what makes the difference. If I was going to bet money line, I probably would play KC. I think they're more likely to win the game, but I think Buffalo can win. And I think the 3.5 is what the hook is what actually makes a difference. They're supposed to get 15 to 20 mile per hour winds in Kansas City as well. That might lead toward an under, which I think people may not expect. But if you look at what Kansas City struggled with against Cleveland with the red zone offense, and then you consider Mahomes' toe injury and the fact that Buffalo is not an offense that gives up big plays through the air, they generally do it through the ground, and the fact that I think Buffalo is probably going to try and run the ball a little bit more, I think that you could see an under spot there. So I think a lot of people are walking into these games expecting a lot of points, and I'm walking into them thinking it's going to be a little closer, a little more slow scoring than most people expect.
Well, in the race right now, I'm seeing the under trading at about 53.5, opened at 56, so it's already starting to slide down. So if you're with Mike, you might want to get on that pretty soon. It's just crazy to me that there's going to be a Super Bowl with either Tampa or Green Bay versus Buffalo or Kansas City. Makes perfect sense to me. Green Bay, okay, but I'm like, Buffalo's here, Tampa, okay. Tampa's the biggest surprise to me.
The storylines are incredible, though. I mean, you're going to have Brady Mahomes, or you're going to have Rodgers Mahomes. So you have the amazing storylines there. Or you have Brady versus Buffalo, who's dominated for 20 years. And you get the Buffalo Bills Mafia into the Super Bowl. Or you're going to have probably the least sexy option is probably Green Bay Buffalo. I mean, that's probably the least sexy of the 4. But that's still a pretty good Super Bowl matchup. And it'll be like, no matter what, when you get all these teams indoors, you're probably going to get some points and some offense and you have great quarterbacks, all 4 that are left. You got quality receivers on every single team. I mean, they're fun teams to watch. I think from a football perspective, we got pretty lucky here from just a viewing and enjoyment perspective because you're going to have 2 good games. Like, they're both 3-point line games. They're legit good games this weekend. And the Super Bowl, no matter who faces who, the max spread right now is 3 points. So, I mean, you're going to get a pretty good Super Bowl with a pretty high line as well, a high total, which to me is entertaining. I'm personally going to be rooting for Buffalo and Tampa to win because I have them facing each other at 27-1 in the Super Bowl, which I bet before the playoffs started. So that's what I'll be rooting for. But I'm not necessarily convinced that's going to happen here.
Very nice. I remember one year I did Super Bowl future bets that where you could bet the exact matchup, and I picked two or three teams from each conference that I thought could get there. I think it was just two because I didn't have that many bets. But I picked two teams from each conference, and I had three of the four conference final teams going into it, and I ended up hitting the Super Bowl. But it was great because I was like Saratoga Slim with his Derby future bets. When he's trying to bet the Derby, he hedges his actual Derby race day bets based on what his futures are, and he's hedging one against the other. And so that's what I was doing in the Super Bowl as I was trying to figure out, that was my goal. I ended up getting there, and I was like, I don't care. I'm going to profit either way off of this. My weird angle that whenever it comes to betting in this type of a situation, bet against the team that if they win, they host the Super Bowl. A team has never hosted the Super Bowl in 54 years. Tampa would be the first one to do it if they beat Green Bay. So that is my super wacky, has no scientific basis behind it, bet is to just take Green Bay to beat Tampa.
You're right. That is super wacky and has absolutely no evidence base behind it.
I was waiting to see which one of those you were going to pick. I think Michael Myers I think he was touting Tampa Bay over Buffalo last show, actually.
I mean, I legit think both dogs have a chance. I think Buffalo has the Mahomes toe thing. I think is a much bigger deal than people are making of it. Everyone's talking about the head thing. The toe thing is what really scares me. I mean, he couldn't throw short to the right because he couldn't plant his foot in the last game. If it's turf toe, that doesn't go away in a week. Like, I get it if it's like someone stepped on it, it's a bruise and fine. There's modern medicine. They'll get the Brad Cox juice out there. He'll be fine. But if you have like turf toe, that's like a month-long injury. You see baseball players miss like a month with this thing because you can't plant your foot and swing. He couldn't throw short to the right. I mean, if you look, he missed Kelsey, he missed Hill, and it was a problem when he was in that game last week. So I think that's what a lot of the issues are there with it. So I think you're going to get a really good game there. And look, this is a monster step up in class for Green Bay. Like, it was a one-possession game against the Rams last week in the third quarter. Let's not forget about that. The Rams were putting up points with Jared Goff in the cold with one thumb last week. So let's properly assess like who Green Bay is beaten here, and then let's talk about whether or not we really think this is as easy as some people are making out to be. It's just, you know how many winning teams with a winning record they beat this year?
2.
They're 14-3. How many teams with a winning record have they beat?
3.
Am
I right?
Yeah, it's 3. One of them is the Bears, so don't celebrate too much because they shouldn't either. Like, it's been like it not good. Their record's not good, and like, yeah, I got a lot of issues with Green Bay, and I'm scared of Aaron Rodgers. I'm scared of Patrick Mahomes, but the rest of the team, yeah.
I don't care who comes out of the AFC. I just want the AFC team to win because I don't want Brady to win. I don't want the Packers to win. Yeah, let's just go AFC. I mean, I'd love to see the Chiefs win for Jared, but the Bills winning after how many times? What, they go 4 straight years of the Super Bowl and they lost all 4? I take it back. I'm sorry, Jared. You got your Super Bowl last year when you really needed it. I'm going to go with the Bills this year.
Yeah, I'm going to be. If I'm selfish, I want it to be Bills Tampa, or I want it to be the Chiefs because I may or may not have bought some Patrick Mahomes rookie cards before the Super Bowl last year. So I would like the Chiefs to continue to win, so those things continue to appreciate.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate all of you watching and staying tuned as we continue talking about football on Gulfstream Park. Good luck to everybody who's playing this week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Calloward. He is at SMOBOM18, number 1, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Like I mentioned, the Inside Track wagering guide for the Pegasus World Cup. Available for pre-sale at racenews.com. Go check that out. It is $40 if you buy it on its own, but if you get any of our 30-day monthly subscription packages, that and every other guide that come out in that period are included. That is the best value that we offer at racenews.com, so go check that out. Thank you so much, everybody, once again for joining us. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.